Let's go! Sage Ryan, Maason Smith. Are these guys going to live up to the hype? I'm telling you, that interview Ed Orgeron did last week, it sprung us into making a video about how excited he is for these prospects. He also included two interesting names, Derrick Davis Jr. and BRYCE LANGSTON. So, the number one question I get on our live streams, which, by the way, Tuesday nights at 7 Central and Saturday nights at 7 Central, who's going to be the breakout freshman? I get this question more often than not. So, instead of just breaking those guys down, let's take a look at history. What does a 5-star actually mean for LSU football? And there was an interesting trend that I saw that we're going to get into in today's video. So go ahead, subscribe to the channel, like this video. Let's get to it. When did 4 stars outperform the 5-star player in the LSU class? And it was, I was kind of shocked by what I found. So, as you can see here, Maason Smith, Derrick Davis Jr., who is obviously a high-level 4-star and a safety, and he's also an early enrollee, and Ed Orgeron likes him a lot. You guys saw that I had listed him as a starter on our depth chart piece. And then, of course, you have Sage Ryan, who's a 5-star, but he's not an early enrollee. So we will get back to these guys in just a second. Now, if you're a diehard LSU football fan, you're going to love the nostalgia in this video today. So let's go! Starting off here with 2011, Lyle Collins, 5-star offensive tackle. Obviously, he was phenomenal. The next highest-rated offensive lineman in this class was 3-star Trey Turner, who obviously turned out to be a phenomenal player, but I think we can all agree Lyle Collins was a better player at LSU than Trey Turner. Anthony Johnson, next highest-rated defensive lineman in this class was Jamare Roscoe. They were both good but not great players, so I'm going to give that a push. Now we go to Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr., which, is a debate that you guys have on the live stream. Who's better? Just for the sake of this argument, we're going to go with push because, they were about the same level of productive, and they were both, of course, all-time greats at LSU. No 5-stars in 2012 or 2013. We go to 2014, where we had 4 5-star 247 composites. Leonard Fournette, the highest-ranked player in this class. The next highest-rated running back was Darrell Williams. Now, Darrell Williams was very good at LSU, but is he a 5-star performer? Probably not. Leonard Fournette was clearly better. Go to Malachi Dupree, 5-star wide receiver. Next highest-rated receiver in the class was Trey Quinn, who transferred. And Malachi Dupree, didn't work out in the NFL. Did he live up to expectations? No, but he did have back-to-back 40-catch seasons in a Les Miles offense. And, of course, Trey Quinn left. And I think Trey Quinn has me blocked on Twitter. Either way, I don't know why, Trey. I don't. 5-star, though, Malachi Dupree was better. Clifton Garrett, probably the worst 5-star bust ever at LSU. The next highest-rated linebacker was Donnie Alexander, who was a starter as a senior and an overall net positive for the university. Then you go to Jamal Adams. There's no discussion to be had here between him and Ed Paris, so Jamal was clearly better. 5 stars, there were 3 in the 2015 class. Kevin Tolliver, a 5-star defensive back, who was a really good starter at LSU. However, Dante Jackson was a 5-star performer. Put him at safety, put him at corner, put him at nickel. One of the most versatile defensive backs ever at LSU, so clear win for the 4-star. Tyron Johnson, 5-star wide receiver. Transferred because he wanted to play in a more pass-oriented offense. The next highest-rated receiver was Derrick Dillon, one of the most underrated LSU players, a guy that won LSU a lot of games in 2018, was a great role player on the 2019 team. Most underrated play from the season was his onside kick recovery versus Auburn. I could get into a whole debate about that final play. Thank goodness Derrick Dillon was on the field to make that critical recovery, because LSU might not have won the game if they didn't get that recovery. Either way, we move on here. Maya Tuwema, 5-star offensive guard, next highest rated player in the class, was multiple-year starter Toby Weathersby. Tuwema couldn't get his actions together off the field. Toby Weathersby, of course, multiple-year starter, left a year too early for the NFL draft, but of course Weathersby was the better performer out of the two. Christian Fulton and Rashard Lawrence, we're not going to spend too much time on these guys because obviously they were both phenomenal, and the players after him were not nearly as good. Savion Smith was a good player for Alabama, not a good player for LSU. Eric Monroe, of course, did not work out. Now, if you go all the way down in this class, you do get Greedy Williams, who was a pretty solid 4-star. Remember, this 2016 class was the number 2 ranked class in the country this year. And was Greedy Williams better than Christian Fulton? They were about the same, but we are going by the next highest rated player in this class. So Christian Fulton, clearly better than Savion Smith and Eric Monroe. Rashard Lawrence, clearly better than Ed Alexander. We move on to 2017, where the only 5-star player was Jacoby Stevens. Now, Jacoby, phenomenal Tiger through and through, but Grant Delpit is top 2 or 3 safeties to ever play at LSU. He was better. Now, of course, Jacoby gave you 4 years. Grant gave you 3, but, Grant did start for 3 seasons, and he did win the Thorpe. So I'm going to go with Grant Delpit being the better player. The same thing is kind of true here with Terrace Marshall and Jamar Chase, almost to a T, okay? Of course, Terrace Marshall gave you multiple years, but Jamar Chase's 2019 season, arguably the best receiving season in the history of SEC football. He's up there amongst the all-time great LSU football players. So, once again, you want to give this a push, but Jamar was a better overall player, but of course, both of them phenomenal. Okay? Now we go to 2019, and this was kind of a weird year to evaluate. Derek Stingley, of course, next highest rated DB in this class was Mo Hampton. No need for discussion there. Emory Jr., next highest rated player is Ty Davis Price. This next season is going to determine who is the better of the two. But up to this point, TDP has been better. Marcel Brooks, 5-star, occasional pass rusher on the 2019 team. But he did leave the team in a bad spot, transferring to TCU for whatever reason. And Sony Fanua was a rotational player this past season, a really good special teamer, a really good locker room guy. So Marcel Brooks was better. Okay, let's be honest. He is a more productive, more effective, just overall better player. But remember, we are focusing on what you've done for LSU, and part of your legacy is what happens off the field. Now, he didn't do anything bad off the field, but he did leave the team in a bad spot. So I'm going to give that a push. Okay, I know it's going to be controversial, but I'm going to give it a push. All right, 2020, it's a little too early to be evaluating this class, but it's pretty clear that Elias Ricks and Cashapp Butte are going to, in the long term, be better players than Dwight McGlothern and Coy Moore. Okay? Now, could Dwight McGlothern and Coy Moore be better players in the long term? It's a very unlikely possibility. Now, Eric Gilbert, Cole Taylor, it's clear. Cole Taylor wins that matchup. Even though Eric Gilbert was fantastic as a true freshman this season, Cole Taylor, of course, is the better overall Tiger. Now, we get back to 2021. All right? Who's going to be better? So much of our evaluations are going to come from just this season. But as you saw, if we would have compared Odell versus Jarvis Landry after their true freshman seasons, then obviously Odell would have been way better than Jarvis Landry. So, kind of like what we just did with the 2020 class, it's, kind of hard to say. All right, so I'm giving an educated guess for the 2020 class. However, let me do a quick count. I wrote it all right here. 1, 2, 3. Or we could just count it here. There was 25 stars, all right? Since the 2011 season, there were 25 stars, okay? By my tabulations, 9 times the 5-star was better than the 4-star. 8 times the 4-star was better than the 5-star. And 3 times there was a push. Now, let me be fair here. The final 2 seasons, okay, so like 2020 and whatnot, it's kind of hard. Like I said, it's just so early in the process. But what that tells you is, well, Maason Smith and Sage Ryan both could be phenomenal, but the high-level 4-stars who are right underneath them very well could be better. And, with what Ed Orgeron said last week about BRYCE LANGSTON being the best defensive lineman he's ever recruited, which is interesting because, Maason Smith is listed as a defensive tackle. There was not another true defensive tackle in this class. But if there was to be one, BRYCE LANGSTON, who is a thick 6'2", 250, could potentially move inside. And then, of course, Landon Jackson's a guy who lined up at defensive tackle some in high school. Those are the next highest-rated defensive linemen in this class. And obviously, Derrick Davis and Sage Ryan, they're essentially the same level of recruit. Kind of like, Grant Delpit and Jacoby Stevens. You hope that they both turn out to be phenomenal. So just because a 5-star was slightly better than a 4-star or vice versa doesn't mean that they both won't be phenomenal players. Like, for instance, we had Lyle Collins and Trey Turner. They were both phenomenal players. Jarvis and Odell, which I graded as a pure push, both phenomenal players. So hopefully that is what happens, but I hope you enjoyed this video today. It was kind of weird. It was kind of different, but that's what history tells us, is that we don't know who's actually going to be the bigger impact player. I hope you enjoyed this video today. It was a lot of fun to do. I kind of like doing these research pieces. If you want to see our film study from yesterday, make sure you check it out. If you want to join in on our live stream debates, don't forget, Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Central. Sometimes they're on Fridays, depending on my schedule. But every Tuesday night, there will be a live stream at 7 p.m. Central. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! It's tuna steak night. Let's go. Let's go.